a flower. I am fresh as the dew. I am solid as the mountain. I am firm as the earth. I am free, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. I am water. What is real? What is true? And I feel there is space deep inside of me. I am free, I am free, I am free. Do you feel it? Yeah? All right. Okay. So, do we have to stand up? Do we have to? I think you guys can just stay seated. I will get myself situated. Dear respected Thai, dear community, today is October 9th in the year 2022. We are at the Ocean of Peace Meditation Hall during our winter rains retreat.
Today is my, my debut Dharma talk. I haven't offered a Dharma talk in this hall for quite a long time. And it's probably, for some of you, it's your debut mindfulness day. You probably hadn't had the opportunity to come to Deer Park in so long. I have a letter that I would like to share with you, a letter that I had just written. And some of you may not know this, but if you ever wanted to write a letter to Thai, and if you were in Plum Village, you can write a letter and place it in the bell. And that is his inbox. And for monastics, we have MonX, which is called Monastic Express. We can just have it hand-delivered to Thai. And Thai loved receiving letters from his monastic students as well as lay practitioners. It's always a source of nourishment between teacher and student. And the other day, I was sort of nervous about giving today's Dharma talk. And I didn't know what to do, so I had to call upon the master of Dharma talks. And so I have this letter I would like to share with all of you. This is one of the typical letters I would have written to Thai. Dear beloved Thai, for so many years I have written to you, and for so many years you have learned about my monastic shenanigans. Regardless of what they were, you always listened to me, even if they were complete nonsense. So many times you had encouraged me to write a book, and you had promised to endorse my book should I write it. You wanted me to retell my stories. No, our stories. But for some reason, I never got round to writing anything at all. Though I did try by diligently writing letters to you to retell them. And I remember every time I'd send you one, when we meet again, you would recount your side of the story. Those were the good days, right, Thai? Thai, did you know that I have yet to recount everything? So many things I have kept just for me. So many things out of fear, out of pride, out of resistance within that I chose to omit. Mostly because somehow they were buried deep in my stored consciousness. Only now, a few days before your birthday, which also happens to be the day the Sangha assigned me to give a Dharma talk, do I have a chance to look back at what I didn't tell you. I didn't go to the Dharma teachers' meeting when everyone got to choose their dates. I thought I could escape from giving a Dharma talk because we have so many wonderful Dharma teachers. Now I know if I want a voice, even to escape, I need to show up. I had heard the only day left after everyone had chosen was the one just a few days before your continuation day. I wondered if this was your message to me, the message you sent through my brothers and sisters. Dear Thai, do you remember when I was living at Green Mountain Dharma Center? I had a sister that was my best friend. She and I did so many things together that even including getting in trouble with our elders. But in her opinion, I got in trouble, and she just happened to inherit the scolding too. Who knows? Those were our carefree novice days. But just like any relationship, she and I had a falling apart. I was falsely accused of something I didn't do, and she was going through something that I didn't understand. and I happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. She then took a short sabbatical, but her accusations had hurt me. It made me very upset and even hardened my heart. My trust in her totally fell apart. I even promised myself that I would never speak to her again, let alone trust her. Then you have heard from somewhere that she was visiting Maple Forest Monastery for the family retreat. And you had made attempts to reach me. You asked Sister Chen Kong to talk to me. I remember that afternoon, after Dharma discussion, I was told to go to the brothers' dining hall and wait by the phone because Sister Chen Kong would be calling. Did you know what was going through my mind? It was like being a child being called to the principal's office or being called to your boss's office. This could only be bad. I obediently waited by the phone for Sister Chen Kong's call. It was the first time I had wished that the first 3 rings would go on forever. I dreaded answering the phone only because I knew if Sister Chen Kong was calling, you would be listening. It's true. She would have it on speakerphone. Sister Chen Kong started off by asking me how the retreat was going, how many people were there, and if the retreatants were happy. And then without any further ado, she cut to the chase, and she asked me, have I spoken to my younger sister? To which I answered, no. Then she told me that Yu Tai had wanted me to practice beginning anew with her, which I answered with silence. I was determined to be that stubborn, bull-headed Sister Kính Nghiêm. I wanted nothing to do with her. It was just like any relationship. When there is hurt, we all do the extreme from having everything to do with that person to not have anything to do with that person. As if my silence was a clear answer, you made sure Sister Chen Kong got your message across to me. I heard you whispering to her, make sure she does it. He doesn't know that I can hear him. Then I guess you were still uncertain that I would do what you had asked, so you took over the line. You had told me, Sister Kính Nghiêm, you are intelligent. I know you understand what I want you to do. You don't have to do this for her. If you can't do this for you, then at least do this for Tai. I want you to sit with her tonight. It must be done tonight. You don't have to apologize to her. You don't need to explain anything. All you need to do is listen to her and to yourself. If you feel the time is right, then you can tell her how you feel. But you don't have to. Just listen to her. I will call you tomorrow at the same time. So you can let me know how it went. Kính Nghiêm, promise me that you will sit with her. To which I only answered, I promise, without vigor or enthusiasm. Tai, did you know that I was mad? Well, not mad at you for forcing me to do something I didn't want to do, but for calling me out on something that I truly wanted. But my pride got in the way. You knew that I wouldn't do it for me. My pride wouldn't allow me to do it. You knew I always became a softie when it came to you. So you asked me to do it for your sake. That evening, she and I sat for hours after the Sangha activities. We sat for a long time at the tea house. We talked, we listened, we laughed, we cried, we hugged, and we were silent. I didn't know if anything in particular happened that evening, but I knew I could proudly tell you that I had done what you'd asked, and that I have done something for your sake, that I didn't let you down. At least I hope I didn't. I wasn't expecting any insight to come from that evening. I wasn't expecting us to become friends again. It was too soon to tell if our session of listening deeply was going to mature. The next day when you called, you asked me how it went. I gave the typical teenage answer that it was fine. I wasn't exactly happy. I wasn't hyped up. I just did what I was told. And I was proud for that fact only. And your response was, you did well. I knew you could do it. Thầy, I am fascinated at how you knew me before I even knew myself. You knew what I wanted deep down and that I was hurting too much to even allow myself to heal and reconcile. I wanted my friend back. I wanted my sister back. I also wanted not to be dependent on others. I wanted to be on my own and to show myself that I got this. But you knew what I would need beyond my demanding, confusing monastic self. That any time was a good time for friends on the path. I didn't know it then, but you had helped me sow seeds of lasting friendship. Thầy, I can say thank you to you today because 25 years later, my friendship with my younger sister has come to maturity. We have had many more conversations, each one deeper with our own growth, each one closer to understanding and accepting ourselves, therefore each other. Our relationship has given us more joy than anticipated. My 18-year-old self would have never imagined this day today. You have placed your trust in my soil. You have trusted that my bodhicitta was enough, even when in doubt about myself and in confusion of what I truly wanted. Your trust in me gave me the strength to do things when I didn't want to do it in myself. If I didn't want to do it for me, I could always do it for you. And this was easy because if it ever went wrong, I could always blame you. But you were never wrong, right, Thầy? Now, when the only call I can answer from you is from within, I wonder if I have the capacity to do what you have done for me, for my younger siblings. Can I place my trust in their process? Can I sow my seeds of trust in them in hopes that their bodhicitta can mature it and bring it to maturation, nurture it and bring it to maturation? Can I take a leap of hope? Is it really all we need? You once told me, to be a good elder sister, you must know how to be a good younger sister. Thầy, does that apply to being a teacher? If I want to be a good teacher, should I be a good student? Have I been Thầy? Am I still Thầy? I await your answer. I know that I will receive your call soon, where I can report to you how much I have done and where I can hear you say, "You have done well. I knew you could do it." Your child, Trần Kính Nghiêm. Are you guys okay? So this is a letter that I had written to Thầy just recently. And it's always been a practice of mine to communicate with our teacher. And he loved receiving these letters. It helps us to feel more connected. I am aware that my theme of the Dharma talk today is supposed to be the Lonely Watchtower. I really don't quite understand what that's supposed to mean, but it's quite lonely up here. And I feel like I am at a watchtower looking at everyone in the audience. I remember the first time I've ever met Thầy, and when I was 14. And if some of you don't know, I ordained when I was 14 years old. And the first time I've ever met Thầy, he had invited myself and a friend of mine to speak with him privately because he had heard somewhere in this retreat that there were 2 teenagers that had wanted to become monastics. And I promise you, because I get asked this question a lot, how did you know that you wanted to become a nun at 14? My answer is, I didn't know. There wasn't a monastic table at career fair day at school. And I think we should change this. I think we should have where they have the tent where they're recruiting for military ROTC, and just right across from that to have a monastic recruitment table. Because it is also a career. But I remember the first conversation I had with Thầy. My Vietnamese back then was a bit broken, but I think I received the message very clearly. And you know, sometimes when we're teenagers, we just do things for fun and not really know why. And so Thầy just wanted to make sure that the seeds were right. And so he spoke to us and he said, "Do you know that being a monk or a nun is not like riding a Mercedes on the freeway, but it's driving in a very old car, going up the mountain path with a lot of potholes." And he asked me, "Do you still want to become a monastic?" And I'm like, "Sure." Like, it didn't occur to me that he was giving me an analogy about, how easy or how rough it is. I was 14. I've never driven in a Mercedes. And I've been camping before, so I know what it's like going up the mountains in a car, So that was the kind of luxury I didn't quite understand, so it was so easy for me to say, yeah, I'll become monastics. Little did I know what was in store. Really big potholes. But that was the beginning of trying to discover. And I thought, oh, yes. Now I get it, because recently I was picked up in a Mercedes. It's so smooth. And the seats are just so comfortable. You just sort of melt into it, And then now I get it. And so it wasn't that I regretted becoming a monastic now that I had a taste of what a Mercedes is like. Because when you sit so comfortably in the car, you fall asleep and you can't see everything else around you. That's what it was like for me. I just completely knocked out, missed the whole countryside. So that was the first thing that Thầy had taught me before I became a monastic. about monastic life. He wasn't trying to sell me, trying to tricking me into something. But he definitely asked me a question where I had no idea. And it's a wonderful thing when you don't have any idea or preset conditions to ordain. Because it's just the pure of, yes, this is what I want to do. And I remember during our aspirant time in Plum Village, myself and 8 other brothers and sisters, on a day of mindfulness, Tai would oftentimes call us to have tea with him. And he would give us reminders. If you want to ordain, you have to want it more than 100%. If it's 99%, then don't do it. More than 100%. And to really want to ordain. And I listened to that Dharma talk again and again. And I asked myself, do I still want it more than 100%, or am I going to sell it at 70% off? And I really don't want to sell this life, make it sound cheap. And this summer, I had the opportunity to go to Plum Village, and it's been the last time I was in Plum Village was in 2018, and it was the first time that I have been in Plum Village since Thai's transformation. And for me to walk the path that I used to walk before with Thai as his attendant, knowing that I can only imagine it again, call him up and to walk with me and just pretend the sister or the brother walking in front of me is walking with Thai's footsteps. And I'm following him in his attendance. But there were a lot of firsts for me this year being in Plum Village. I had the first time, and it was very emotional, when I was the master, transmission master for the 5 mindfulness trainings, to read the precepts and to ask that question. I felt the pressure of holding the whole assembly, and I had to really channel Thai. Like, okay, Thai, you have to sit with me, you have to invite the bell, Thai, and just really invite him there, because there's always this fear of, can I do it? Can I really continue? Can I hold the same space? And when I gave the Dharma talk in Lower Hamlet, I remember walking into the hall, and my reaction was just short of the podium. And I said, is this the podium? And they're like, what do you mean, what podium? What do you mean, the podium? I said, the podium. This is Thai's podium. Can we change it? I've never sat on Thai's podium before, but it was like, this is the only podium we use now. And I was like, oh dear. It's much higher than this, for sure. But even that, just sitting there and just like, wow, can I? Do I have permission to? And so that was really the first time of having to go through the idea of letting go and continuing all at the same time for me. And there was also another first that I've done in Plum Village, was leading the practice of deep relaxation and touching the earth. I have been, you can say, almost a direct student from Sister Chen Kong, but I've never done it for a big retreat. It's always Sister Chen Kong. She's the matriarch of deep relaxation and touching the earth. But she was enabled to offer that for the whole Sangha this year. And so the sisters had asked me to do it, and I was nervous. I've done total relaxation so many times. I memorized the whole exercise by heart. And just that idea that I am replacing big shoes or filling in big shoes was just nerve-wracking for me. I lost sleep, which rarely happens. I was completely stressed out over that, just offering deep relaxation and touching the earth. And I realized the only way that I can offer it if I truly practice it myself. So then that whole session was just a relaxation, a live relaxation happening. So I'm not the one guiding, I'm the one practicing. And that helped me go through that whole time. And when I was leading the touching of the earth, it's so easy because we have the text of the 3 touching of the earth and the 5 touching of the earth. And we could just simply open the book and read it. But for me, that doesn't stay. It doesn't stick, because how is that related to my practice? How is that something that I can practice with on a daily basis, whether I am on the floor with my 5 points, my forehead, my hands and my knees on the floor, or whether I am standing, I can still practice touching of the earth. I can still do touching of the earth even when I'm sitting. So one of the stories as a novice, luckily for us, we have this stained glass in the back of the hall. And in that picture that we see back there is of the Buddha, his father, and Rahula. And we have the exact same picture in Lower Hamlet. And I remember once saying that I specifically chose this image, is that he said, if we practice now, the present, we can transform our past and transform our future, which is, our past is the Buddha's father, and the future is Rahula, his son. If you've read Old Path, White Clouds, it's a wonderful book, and hopefully they have it in the bookshop if you would like to read it. But Old Path, White Clouds speaks of Rahula also when he becomes a monk. And he is the son of the Buddha, the patriarch of all baby monks. And the story of Rahula is that sometimes in the beginning he was a little bit spoiled because he was the Buddha's son. He gets special treatment, and he's a spoiled brat, you can say almost. In today's terminology, I think they have something more compassionate, more loving to call him. But there was one time he became very upset, and there was a teaching that the Buddha had offered to Rahula, and he said, Rahula, you should be like the earth. Do you know the quality of the earth? And the Buddha said, well, the earth, whether you pour perfume or milk or water, it will absorb everything, hold everything, transform it. And the earth also, if you pour urine, excrement, sputum, everything else that is considered as impure, it will absorb everything, hold everything, and also transform it. So we should practice being like the earth. And when it transforms, it offers flower, whether it is from urine, or whether it is from water, or whether it is from perfume, or whether it is from spit. I don't know. So it has that capacity. So Rahula, you should be like the earth. And so I took that story and I said, oh, maybe we can practice touching of the earth in the same way of Rahula practicing to be like the earth. Because sometimes we hold ourselves, our heart is the first muscle. It's not even an organ, it's a muscle that allows us to feel things. It's the first thing that lets us know when we're angry. It starts to beat faster. Or when someone, flatters you, your heart skips a beat, maybe. But it's the first organ, the first muscle that lets you know what you are feeling and what you are receiving. And it also holds so much inside. And it's, sometimes when you're sad or you're angry or upset, you feel weighted on your heart, in your chest. And so I said, the word heart is only if we put the H in the back of it, it will become earth. So we can have this heart to earth conversation. So in my practice of touching the earth that I've led during that deep relaxation, is touching the earth session isn't, you can bring your heart and have all the conversations and pour it into the earth, whether it is negative feelings, hard feelings, joyful feelings. And you can trust that the earth will hold it, receive it, and transform it, because you don't have to hold that there. So touching the earth for me is a heart-to-earth conversation. And there are gestures, when you bring your hands up to your forehead and then to your heart, and you open it up. And I said, that's what it is. That gesture, bringing your hands up here, is that you're going to take everything that is in your mind that's bothering you and everything that's swaying in your heart, and just open it up and allow it to pour into the earth, and to trust that process. And one of the exercises that I've done, I've sort of did a hybrid of the two different practices of touching the earth. Watering the wholesome seeds in ourselves, feeling that connection between ourselves and others and all species. And then channeling that connection, because when you have this communication with the earth, you also have the communication with others. You can just imagine yourself. I think I watched a Netflix documentary on mushrooms, I think it is. You watch that. And it's so wonderful how that network works, how one communicates. And sometimes we forget that we can communicate. So I'd like to imagine that I'm sitting up here, but that everything that I'm channeling is also getting through your roots and nurturing yourself also. So one of the touching of the earth, the fourth touching of the earth in the chanting book that we have, speaks about being able to transmit the energy of gratitude to the ones that you love. And that's easy. So then it's so easy for you to stand or to touch the earth and to have a heart-to-earth conversation and to pour everything on the earth, because one thing is that, yes, the earth can hold it and transform it, but it keeps the best secrets. All of your secrets is downloaded into the earth. It's not in the clouds. In the clouds, it's dangerous because it can be hacked. It's down on earth. You can't find it. So to pour your heart into the earth, to have that conversation. You can't hack the earth. I don't think anybody can do that yet. Maybe Elon Musk will try one day. But it's okay, he can leave the earth alone. So heart to earth. And it's so easy for us to channel the energy of love and understanding to the ones that we love, to the ones that we felt nourished by, and to the ones that we want to nurture. But then the fifth touching of the earth comes to another space that sometimes it's more difficult for us to practice. And in my letter, also said that. In my letter, it also said that. I don't want to practice. I don't want to talk to her. She hurt me too much. I hardened my earth. I deprived my earth of its own nourishment. It became parched, meaning my heart. And so the practice of the fifth touching of the earth is bowing down to reconcile myself, touching the earth to reconcile myself with all those who have made me suffer. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go to that person and have a conversation and sit. It means that you can allow that suffering that you have held in your heart and touch the earth and just pour it in. Not just take it out and just chuck it. Because that's what we all want to do. I'm going to get rid of this. But just to allow ourselves to be held by the earth while we are touching the earth. And allow all of that to just pour and pour out, however much there is to pour. And how many layers of suffering, how many layers of reconciliation. And the most important thing is, while practicing touching of the earth, you can feel safe because it's a direct line, analog line to the earth. There's no Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Heart to earth. And for me, that has been the first time I've experienced touching the earth in this way. Because before it was just an activity I went to the Sangha. Because it's something that everybody did, I just copied. Paste, Control C, Control V. I would have been, looking very funny if everybody touched the earth and I just stood there, just copied because I didn't want to look weird. But, sometimes when we do things, when we're not sure why we do them, we allow ourselves that space to be investigated, to be curious. Because if you're so certain you're doing something for a reason, you limit yourself for all possibilities. Just go along with it. Go with the flow. Just go with the flow. There was a period of time, Thai asked me to practice something with him. And I thought it was weird, but I just did it anyways, like an obedient student would. And he said, Sister Kính Nghiêm, let's try this. And he said, okay, let's try brushing our teeth. You go home, and every time you brush your teeth, use the other hand. Because whether you're left-handed or right-handed, you brush. Always grab the toothbrush. Left hand, I'm a right-handed, so my left hand will put on the toothpaste. So my left hand knows how much toothpaste I need to put on my toothbrush. And then he said, Sister Kính Nghiêm, let's switch sides. My right hand had the hardest problem controlling the tube of toothpaste. Didn't know how much to squeeze or how, because it's always got too much. And then my left hand could not work the toothbrush at all. He said, let's try this for a week. Let's observe what happens in our own body. And so I said, okay, Thai. And I would report to him every 2 or 3 days, how'd you do? How'd you do? And we would have discussion about brushing our teeth. Oddest discussion of all, but, what happens in our own mind. And I remember brushing my teeth. And the first thing, the moment when the toothbrush came into my mouth and I was brushing, my right hand was ready to just grab the toothbrush away. And then I couldn't do it. I couldn't think, this is taking too long. Already 2 minutes of brushing your teeth. My dentist would be very happy to know that I actually brushed for 2 minutes, right, with my right hand. But 2 minutes with my left hand seems forever. And it's not doing it right, And then I start to criticize and blame my left hand, which is also a part of me. And then my right hand wants to take over. wants to take over. And so Tai had said, I find it very difficult also. I said, yeah, what do we do with our right hand? And so we had to try so many times just to catch the moment of like agitation, impatience of my right hand trying to take over. And so what I had to do is, Chai, you know what I discovered? If I put my right hand behind my back, it's too far for it to travel to grab the toothbrush. So I had to keep my right hand behind my back and to brush my teeth. And I timed 2 minutes on the clock, just, allowing it. And I felt different because then I can feel with my left hand brushing where the brush is actually in contact with in my mouth. How I turn it. I become more aware of each turn of my toothbrush and more aware of the contact of the brush in my mouth. Something that my right hand, after so many years of brushing my teeth, could not offer me. And so that was one experience that I've done with Tai. And it's quite interesting to watch how we become impatient with ourselves and how we become judgment and critical. Just brushing our teeth. So let alone with all these emotions of what we could do, what we couldn't do, all this doubt and all this fear and the pressure that we put on ourselves. So when I was practicing with all of this, all of my first this year, I remembered my left hand and the practice of how my right hand had to be patient and caring, understanding, and allowing my left hand the space to grow. I have, I think I was out of time, but I have a letter here that I would like to offer for you to hear, not for you to keep. And I would like you to listen to it first. This is almost an answer to my letter. Because I await for Thai's answer, knowing that I did well, just wanting to hear those words again. And so we'll listen first to the words to the letter in Vietnamese, because the original letter is in Vietnamese. And then we'll hear the English translation. But before we start, I would like to invite all of you to listen to one sound of the bell.
Ngày 30 tháng 7 năm 2011, Kính Nghiêm, con của Thầy. Thầy đã đọc thơ con. Thời gian con ở làng sống với Thầy, với chúng cũng dài gần bằng thời gian còn ấu thơ sống với ba và mẹ. Con đã là một baby monk rất giỏi. Thầy trò mình đã có những năm tháng rất hạnh phúc và đã giúp được rất nhiều người. Con đã là một trong những vị giáo thọ trẻ nhất và tài ba nhất làm cho Thầy rất hãnh diện. Con đã làm thị giả rất giỏi cho Thầy trong những thời gian Thầy giải phẫu mắt, và thầy trò mình đã tâm sự với nhau rất tâm đắc về những vấn đề liên hệ tới đời sống tăng thân và công cuộc hoàn hóa. Mầu nhiệm nhất là thầy trò mình chưa bao giờ giận nhau và đánh mất truyền thông. Thầy trò mình đã chia sẻ cảm nghĩ với những sự kiện như khi có ai đó rời chúng, Và chúng ta đã chứng tỏ có đủ hiểu biết và từ bi, không hề có khuynh hướng chê bai hoặc trách móc. Thầy rất biết ơn chư tổ đã yểm trợ cho thầy trò mình trong sự nghiệp gieo rắc hạt giống Phật Pháp trên mảnh đất Âu Châu và Mỹ Châu. Đây là một thành tựu lớn và một niềm hạnh phúc lớn của thầy trò mình, được sống với niềm tin và được làm những việc mà mình ưa thích. Thầy nghĩ là thầy có thể hiểu được con dù có chuyện gì xảy ra. Con có thể có niềm tin nơi thầy, thầy của con.
July 30th, 2011. Kính Nghiêm, my child, Thầy had read your letter. The time you have lived in Plum Village with Thầy and the Sangha is almost as long as the time of your childhood living with your mom and dad. You have been a wonderful baby monk. You and Thầy have had months and years of happiness and had helped so many people. You are one of the youngest, most talented Dharma teachers, making Thầy very proud. You have been a wonderful attendant for Thầy, especially when Thầy had eye surgery, and you and Thầy have had deep heart-to-heart discussions related to situations of Sangha life and the career of teaching. What's most wonderful is that you and Thầy have never been angry with each other and have never lost communication. Thầy and you have shared our thoughts about incidents that happen like in the case when someone leaves the community. And we have proved that we have enough loving kindness and compassion. Never did we have the intention to criticize and blame. Thầy is very grateful to the ancestors that have supported Thầy and you in our career of sowing seeds of the Buddha Dharma in Europe and in America. This is the greatest achievement and the greatest happiness of ours, to live in faith and to be able to do the work we love doing. Thầy believes Thầy can always understand you, even if anything were to happen. You can have trust in Thầy. Your Thầy, N.H. Thank you, everyone.